Move on to Iran, Senator. You've been traveling and meeting with business people about Iran. Why? What are you telling them?
Right. I'm honored to be the chair of United Against Nuclear Iran, which we call UANI. It's a bipartisan group formed about 8 years ago. And the whole focus is on the business community. And now, after the Iran nuclear agreement and some sanctions related to Iran's nuclear weapons program have been listed, our message is to companies, it's still very risky business to do business in Iran. It's not open season. There are still sanctions against Iran because of their support of terrorism, because of their denial of human rights. And there's still risks in Iran of kidnap and hostage taking, which have occurred. There are also reputational risks for any business that goes in because of the anti-women's rights, anti-gay rights, anti-political
Which companies
freedom.
have you visited? Who have you talked to?
Well, we're systematically going out to a lot of them. We focus, I mentioned 5 big companies that we've heard are actively considering moving back into Iran to do business. General Electric is one, Maersk is another, Bombardier, Siemens, and Fiat Chrysler. And we're just saying, wait a second, do you really want to do business in this country and therefore help a government that is supporting terrorism, killing people, and repressing the human rights of their own people?
Have those companies been receptive to your message, number one? And number two, how do you respond to the counter argument that maybe it is precisely by engaging and doing business in that country that you affect change in it?
Well, my response to that counter-argument is that look at the conduct of the Iranian government right up to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, since the Iran nuclear agreement was signed last year and implemented in January. I mean, just a few days ago, the supreme leader said the United States remains the #1 enemy of Iran. They launched missiles, as we know, in violation of United Nations resolution. So there's no indication that post-Iran nuclear agreement, this radical, expansionist, terroristic administration in Tehran has changed. If I thought doing business here would change it, I would say go right ahead. What I think the Iranians have to take the first step. They have to show that they really have changed.
And GE and Fiat and Boeing and those companies that you've been in, Maersk, what did they say to you when you went to see them?
I think they're listening. And I think this is a question of not only putting values like freedom, life, ahead of every possible business gain you could get, but really what we're saying is it's risky business to do business in Iran now, because you could be slapped with other sanctions that still are part of the law. You could hurt your reputation, and your workers and executives could be kidnapped and held hostage. It's not a good or safe place to be doing business. Incidentally, the most significant reaction to our campaign so far has been by European banks who have not followed their companies rushing for gold in Iran, because they don't want to run afoul of the continuing U.S. sanctions laws, which could deprive them of access to the U.S. banking system, which they obviously prefer to the relatively small Iranian economy.
The Iranians have complained bitterly about that very fact. Senator,
well, then
thanks
they better
so much.
change.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
We'll see. Senator Joe Lieberman.
Okay.